In most discussions that we have as people, and why the difference between human beings is so much dividing us, most fingers is pointed at religion. I don't know, for one reason or the other, people believe that religion is what is dividing humanity mostly. And I used to be in that category as well, that religion was the dividing force amongst people around the world. But is religion truly the dividing factor? And that's what this video is about. Hello everyone, welcome back to Breakage Barriers. If this is your first time here, my name is Blessing. I'm also known as Lady B. What I do here is talk about culture and human habits. When you take a good look at religion, you see that, for example, in Christianity, that religion believes in one God. You look at the Muslim religion, they also believe in one God, and the other religions as well. So if they believe in one God, why is there still so much differentiation between them? When we look at these two religions, because they are the most popular in the world, when we take them, you look at the Christian religion, and for the fact that they profess to believe in one God, believe in one Son of God, there's still so much division amongst them. Why? Why is that one belief in God not uniting Christians? And why is that one belief in God in the Muslim religion not uniting the Muslim people as one? Why is there still so much differentiation? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? If you're not, let me pull you closer so you look at it from the lens that I'm looking at it right now. We bring it down a bit to our individual lifestyle. When you look at human beings in general, regardless of location, regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of another factor that is dividing us, race, the skin complexion, even amongst the racist, there's still something dividing them, and that comes down to culture. Culture is a strong factor in the human relationship. And like I said, bringing it down to our individual lifestyle, whether we belong to one race, one ethnicity, one religion, one society, as individuals, we all do things differently. Why? Because we are all individually unique. Unique to the core. Unique to our purposes in life. Unique to our individuality. Unique even in our features and the way we choose to express life. We are different, although we are under one umbrella as humans. So why does Mr. A do things different from Mr. B, C, D, and all over the earth? Because the lens at which I see the world is quite different from the lens at which my brother sees the world, my sister sees the world, my children sees the world, my parents see the world. Because we are individually unique and we are all here for different purposes. So the way I live my life or desire to live my life is completely different, and that I can call my culture, my belief, my lens, or the way I have chosen to live my life, which is culture. And that's the individual aspect. When we now want to look at the bigger picture as a society, as a community, as a country. For example, in a country chooses a specific system to express their belief, to express their value, to express the way they see life. That's why when you visit a country in Africa, for example, say Nigeria, and then you visit another country, say for example Ghana, and then you go all the way to South Africa or all the way to Egypt, Morocco, they all do things systematically different, because this group of people have come to have a common belief, a common value, a common lens at which they see the world. So they come together and say, okay, this is our value. This is how we want our community to be like. And so they form their own culture. And that's where we are going. What's the meaning of culture? Culture, in terms of a community or a country, is the foundation on which a society is built. The culture of a country or a community has a great impact on people's lives. A culture shapes a society. A culture determines the moral, ethical value that plays out in that society. And the culture in a society, like I said earlier, culture of a society is the lens at which the society sees the world. Culture is the one that helps a society to be able to relate with another society or not. For example, when we look at Europe at large, you look at some aspect of Europe, like the western part of Europe, which is inclusive of the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and so on. Their ethical value is almost similar. It's not all the same, but it's almost similar. And in the international realm, they are able to work easily together. Not that they don't have areas on which they don't agree, not at all. But in most cases, their ethical value, they do have a common ground there. When it comes to ethical value, like the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and so on, the western part of Europe believe, for example, in human rights. So the system of that society is fashioned in such ethical value. In that case, they are able to work together. And then you look at some other aspect of the world as well. The culture of the Middle East is completely different from the culture of the West, and that of the Africa, and also that of Asia. So around the world, we have all sorts of different cultures, moral, ethical values, systems of belief, and so on. All these contribute to the level at which we can relate with one another as humans, as a country, and in the individual aspect as well. For example, again, when somebody who once lived in the Middle East meets another person who was born and grew up in the West, the cultural difference is completely on the opposite side. It's completely different, if not on the opposite side. So when two of such people meet, they need to take time out to understand one another. How, you might ask? Well, the easiest way is to understand each other's culture. And from there, they can then start to understand why one behaves the way they behave and why the other one behave the way they behave. And that way they are able to interrelate as two human beings, just as we find it with countries all over the world as well. Of course, when we're talking about country, it's more beyond the difference in culture. Capitalization plays in as well. Communism plays in, and so on. Addressing it from the point of religion, you see that there's so much difference in the Christian religion when it comes to interrelating with one another as regards a Christian who happens to live in Africa and the Christian who lives in the West, and also the one who lives in Asia. When you look at these three, for example, these three sects of people, although they are all Christians, they are all culturally different. Why? Because the type of Christianity that is practiced in Asia, although they believe in one God, one Jesus Christ, all three are completely different culturally. And that affects their belief system and how they are able to express Christianity or their Christian values. Therefore, if we have to go centuries back as it relates to the Christian religion, we see that Christianity was enforced throughout the world. But because the cultural practices in these other countries all over the world is completely different from the cultural practice in the West, as we all know, if you don't know, Christianity is a religion that was introduced by the West to the world during colonization around the world. So we see that when Christianity was enforced throughout the world, something happened. And this something that happened can be termed as inculturalization. Inculturalization is when the Christian belief or Christianity as it was introduced around the world met with the culture that was practiced in such countries pre the introduction of Christianity. And so those other people in those countries received this religion called Christianity, but received it with their original or initial cultural practices. And so that's why you see the type of Christianity practiced in, for example, Africa, and the way it's practiced in Africa, although it's still the same religion, is entirely different from the way the West practice their Christian religion. And so you have this inculturalization taking place where there's massive variance between the practices of Christianity and how it's laid out. You look at the Christian religion, you see the Presbyterian way of practicing Christianity, you see the Catholic way of practicing, you see the Mormon practicing it differently as well, the Methodist, and so on. There are so many under that umbrella called Christianity. Same goes with the Muslim religion, where you have the Sunnis and the Shiites. All these fall under cultural difference. If there's one cultural unification or similarities, then there wouldn't be need for all these differences. So, tabling this discussion down and looking at it with a deeper lens, what truly defines our differences as humans trying to relate with one another in any aspect of life is culture. And that's where our focus as humans should be on. We should make effort to understand one another's culture, respect one another's culture, and if possible, embrace one another's culture. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope to see you again in the next video. Take care now.